Day 5 is underway right now in the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, an associate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell's defense attorneys are set to challenge claims made by a former employee of Epstein. He testified yesterday that 2 of the accusers repeatedly visited Epstein's mansion in Florida. Maxwell has pleaded not guilty to charges of sex trafficking minors. NBC News correspondent for investigations Tom Winter joins us now from outside the courthouse there in Manhattan. Tom, how is the defense cross-examining this former employee of Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, they're being very consistent, Morgan, basically using the same themes and attacking this idea of memory. So what they want to do is they want to try to impeach, in their words, and it's a legal term as well, the credibility of the witness. So with respect to Juan Alessi, and one of the things that makes this case so unusual, as we've talked about before, there's been so many civil lawsuits involving things tied to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that a number of the people that are going to be called, maybe all of them in this trial to some degree, that have any sort of eyewitness testimony have already been deposed in those civil cases. They've already provided testimony. So one of the things that they're doing today is going back and looking at Jeffrey Paliuca, who's one of the attorneys for Maxwell, going back and looking at prior things that Juan Alessi said under oath, comparing them to his testimony yesterday and trying to determine if there are any sort of inconsistencies or anything that's untruthful. Just a quick example, one of the things that he's brought up is a statement actually that Alessi gave to police about a time that he went into Jeffrey Epstein's home back over nearly now 15 years ago to perhaps steal money. And he said that initially he may have been looking for a gun. So he's just trying to bring up these prior statements and things that Alessi has said in a way to potentially hurt his credibility in front of the jury, Morgan.
And Tom, tell us about this former staffer's testimony. I mean, how did it specifically implicate Maxwell, going back to what you said, and who else is set to testify in this trial in the days ahead? How could those testimonies interact?
Right, Morgan. So I think one of the key things is whenever you're trying to develop a case on conspiracy and prove it for the prosecution, you have to try to find a nexus to the people you've charged and that you have said are involved in it. So one of the things that they've tried to do with Alessi is say that Maxwell was involved in this idea of sex trafficking and arranging these massages, which then they allege turned sexual. One of the ways that they've done that is they've gotten his testimony to say, look, when these girls would come in, they would go to the kitchen, then we would immediately direct them to Miss Maxwell. That's what he said, that he would immediately get them to Ghislaine Maxwell, to her office, and from there, who knows what happens after that, although he has testified about some of the things he found after these massages took place, including finding sex toys. But one of the things that he talked about is that how she was involved in handling these women or these underage girls that would come in. And so that's a way, if the jurors believe his testimony, that they could find a nexus there and perhaps potentially convict on those charges. As far as witnesses coming up, once Alessi's off the stand, I think we're going to hear from a number of members of law enforcement today. They're going to seek to introduce a number of different pieces of evidence, including a video inside of Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach mansion that was taken by police when they executed a search warrant back in the mid-2000s. And then they're going to also seek to introduce pictures, including one involving who they say is a prepubescent girl, underage, in a state of undress, in what prosecutors call a sexualized image. The jurors might see that today. That could be damning. We could also get a number of photographs, potentially, from inside Jeffrey Epstein's Upper East Side townhome that he had up until the moment he was arrested and after he passed away. We've never really seen any photographs from inside that mansion, so that might be particularly enlightening today, including apparently photos of a massage table as well as what they call very small-sized schoolgirl outfits that they found in the same floor. So a number of things that we might hear about today, a number of things we might see. Some of those things, certainly not the underage images of girls, but some of the photos from inside the house we might actually see, Morgan.
All right, Tom Winter, following this all from the very beginning. Tom, we appreciate your reporting.